Like, how was your experience interviewing the president of Venezuela?
Well, that was really interesting, actually. He was very charismatic. It was Hugo Chavez. He, steered Venezuela into a socialist government. This was at the beginning of his time there, and he talked a lot, and he was very well read, a very smart man. So he would just, talk and talk and talk, and he was very charismatic. So
some of your most memorable experience as a travel journalist?
Oh, gosh, I had so many. One time I had to go into a jail in Caracas. I was doing a story about jail conditions for a human rights magazine. I really wanted to get into this jail because it was supposed to be really bad. The prison ministry wouldn't let me in. They said, we cannot guarantee your safety inside the jail. And I was like, okay. Now I really have to get in there. So I went in with a Filipina nun. She said, well, I can take you in. I go in there every Saturday as part of a ministry to the prisoners. She said, you'll just have to say you're a nun. So luckily I said, well, do I have to wear a habit and, the robe? And she said, no. I just wear, jeans and a T-shirt. Yeah. She said, I just wear jeans and T-shirt. And I said, okay. So I went in, but I had to say I was, Hermana Christina, visiting from the United States to try and, see the conditions inside the jail. So that was a pretty funny story.
Where was this located?
This was in Caracas, Venezuela. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So,
it was a horrible place.
How was your experience interviewing the president of Venezuela?
Well, that was really interesting, actually. He was very charismatic. It was Hugo Chavez. He, steered Venezuela into a socialist government. This was at the beginning of his time there. He talked a lot. He was very well read, a very smart man. And he would just, talk and talk and talk. And he was very charismatic. So you felt yourself kind of going,
drawn to him.
Right. You would get into it. And of course, he was adored by the poor people of Venezuela. He became their sort of hero. But it was really interesting, just a very interesting personality because he just really drew you in, that really charismatic leader, you just felt like you had to follow him.
Yeah. How's the situation in Venezuela right now?
It's, pretty bad. The people don't have much food. They've just
they're trying to
the economy into a big hole.
I watch a lot of these documentaries and they say they're trying to cross the border from Venezuela to Colombia and also Mexico. So to them, that's a safe haven compared to Venezuela, which Venezuela used to be a richer country than all these places. So,
right. It used to be the Colombians would go to Venezuela for work just because it had a better standard of living. Now it's the opposite. It's
really
Venezuelans have gone all over. Refugees.
Yeah. What do you like most about being a freelance writer?
Because I get to control my time. When you work for a newspaper or a wire service, it was great. It was, I had a great time. But of course, you had to do what they wanted you to do. As a freelance writer, I can do whatever I want, and sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down. It's not like a steady thing. Like last week I had 3-4 assignments come in at once and I had to just scramble to do it. And then another time there'll be nothing,
it's very flexible.
Yeah. And again, I like dealing with that as I think as a TCK, you get used to just kind of going with it. It doesn't faze me that much.
Flow.
Yeah. Another interesting study is about gender differences, and this one is a little bit debatable. This study was done by Gerner and Puri in the year of 2000. They have found that third culture kids that are women have the tendency to engage in interracial relationship and interracial marriages. There are a higher chance for them to marry a foreign husband. Okay, so these are some of the interesting researches done by well-known research scholars.
So what is your favorite topic to write about as a freelance writer?
I used to write a lot about social justice issues, kind of homelessness, and also quirky features. In LA, they have the big Hollywood sign up on the
that, yeah.
And there are people who live by there. And
there is? I have no idea.
They hate the tourists come up there because they want to go and see the sign and take a picture of the sign. And it's like, so I did a story once about, what it's like to live under the Hollywood sign. And
that's cool. You should send me the video. I can watch it later.
Like just quirky features.
I always try to go to the Hollywood sign. It's close to the British Observatory. Mm-hmm. And I always want to go there and take pictures next to the sign. It's really hard to, capture that perfect image. Mm-hmm. But I never knew people lived under the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, there's a whole neighborhood right next to it. So that's like the perfect place to get like a, really close up thing. So they get, swarmed with tourists, and the tourist buses go up there, and it's very narrow streets, like windy in the Hollywood Hills.
So cool.
And, they just hate it. So, I would do stuff like that. And then one time I did a story on homeless people in Beverly Hills, city, and, you have an image full of movie stars and Rodeo Drive and all this thing. But there are homeless people who live there.
They are? Wow.
Yeah.
I know there's a really big population at Skits Road.
Yeah.
The Alley Street
I did a story about that, yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. What is your message to the world?
I think the world needs less judgment and people who are more accepting of people who are different than they are, and be curious. Instead of judging someone or another way of life or being as inferior and putting yourself up as the superior, be curious. I think everybody has something to contribute. Every culture, every country has something, to contribute to humanity. But I think too often people look down on, for example, if you don't come from a wealthy Western society, then, the rest of the world, isn't, they're not up to our standards. But I think you can learn something from everyone. Every culture has beautiful things about it. That's what I love about like traveling. You just pick up these great things and art and culture and all this stuff. And so I think people should be more open-minded.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you have any travel advice you would like to give everyone?
I've never had anything happen to me while I was traveling, but I never sort of drink or get drunk or anything, or I usually at night I go home and go back to the hotel and hang out there. There's definitely safety things you should always watch, and especially as a woman traveling, and as I said, I'm often traveling alone. I'd ask directions of like other women or an old man or something. I don't go up to like younger men. But the other thing I would say is that go for it. Don't be afraid to travel.
I think that the women thing might work to your advantage. I'm not sure. But maybe it's just my personal experience.
Yeah, I think also as women, I don't think you're seen as threatening. You're not seen as threatening.
Especially as a journalist, because when you're a journalist, like a travel journalist, do you have to use a camera and film on the spot? Or?
No, I just take notes. I just would always be writing. I was a print journalist, so I didn't have to.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than maybe a photo or something.
I kind of do the filming thing going on, so people feel less threatening. They're not as threatened by me because I'm a girl. Mm-hmm. Like in Taiwan, they're very famous for really big life-size dolls, like puppets. Mm. I don't know why, like stuffed animals, like bears. People love that stuff. They think that stuff is adorable. So if I go up to them, and I don't even have to ask. I just look like I'm interested. And people will be like, hey, do you want me to take a picture for you with this doll? And I'll be really excited. But if it's a guy, they'll be like, go away. Their reaction would be different. So it's like, that kind of worked to my advantage sometimes, because then I can get people to like come and accept my interview. Because sometimes I interview on the spot. So, yeah,
I have to do that too. Yeah, just go up with, as I said, just ask questions or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say, my main thing is if you want to don't be afraid, just go for it.
Definitely.
Take the risk. Jump in.